There is a river of abundance that flows through the universe, and each soul is meant to drink from it freely. This river knows no delay, no resistance, no lack. It moves swiftly, like a golden current, always searching for open hearts and expectant minds. When one aligns their inner word with divine law, money does not trickle in, money flows in, as naturally as the tide greets the shore. Wealth is not something to be chased, it is a presence to be received. When you declare with authority that money comes to you in unexpected ways, you set unseen forces into immediate motion. Invisible channels open. A door that seemed closed gives way. A forgotten path lights up beneath your feet. Money is energy, and energy responds to thought, to feeling, to spoken word. What is spoken with faith becomes substance, for the word is creative. As you speak, so it is formed. Within 10 minutes, the tide of your expectation can shift. The old thought of delay, of waiting, of struggle, falls away. In its place stands a radiant certainty. You do not beg for money, for begging is born of fear. You expect it, because it is yours by divine right. The universe does not withhold. It mirrors. It reflects the image you hold within. If your heart says, "I receive," then the world must say, "Here it is." Money does not come from people, it comes through them. It does not come from one single source, for the universe has infinite channels. It may arrive in a gift, in a forgotten refund, in a sudden opportunity, in a message, in a door opening just when you thought it was too late. Divine supply is clever, swift, and precise. It moves like the wind, sometimes unseen, always undeniable. In this very moment, as you breathe, the current of abundance moves toward you. You may not yet see it with your eyes, but it is already set in motion. The unseen world precedes the seen. Just as a seed begins to sprout underground before a leaf appears, your wealth is already growing beneath the surface. Speak to it, call it forth. Say, "I receive unexpected money now. I welcome the flow," and the flow responds. All resistance is but an illusion, a shadow on the bright wall of divine supply. Shadows cannot hold back the sun. Lack cannot hold back abundance. When the inner word is clear, the outer world obeys. The more you trust, the faster the current moves. It is not about time, it is about alignment. 10 minutes are enough when you stand in the vibration of receiving. Money is not distant, it is not delayed, it is already on its way. The universe delights in speed when the soul is ready. And now the soul is ready. To speak your desire with unwavering certainty is to align yourself with the creative law of the universe. Every word carries power, every thought shapes form, and every declaration sows a seed in the unseen garden of supply. When you speak from a place of absolute conviction, the energy of your word becomes a command rather than a wish. It moves through the invisible realm with precision and purpose, calling forth that which is already waiting to be received. Certainty is not loud, nor is it desperate. It is quiet, steady, immovable. It does not tremble or second-guess. It stands like a pillar of light, firm in the knowing that what is spoken must come to pass. The universe listens not to fear, but to faith. It answers the tone of assurance, not the murmur of doubt. When you speak as if your desire is already fulfilled, you speak in the language the universe understands. Certainty is not born of force, but of inner alignment. It is the silent agreement between your heart and the infinite. It says, "This is already mine." And in that moment, the outer world begins to rearrange itself to mirror that truth. A mind that is uncertain sends out a signal of contradiction, building one moment and tearing down the next. But a mind that is unwavering sends out a single clear note, and the universe echoes it back without distortion. Your words become your architecture. Every sentence shapes a wall, every thought lays a brick, and certainty turns that structure from fragile sand into solid stone. When you speak your desire, do not speak from the place of wanting, for wanting implies absence. Speak from the place of possession, from the vibration of already having. To say, "I will receive," is to place your good in the future. To say, "I have received," is to bring it into now. The energy of certainty is magnetic. It does not chase, it attracts. Just as the sun does not run after the planets but holds them in place by its radiance, your certainty holds your desire in orbit until it must come into form. Doubt scatters energy, causing confusion, delay, and resistance. Certainty gathers energy, creating clarity, momentum, and manifestation. This is why it matters not only what you say, but how you say it. A declaration made with trembling hope does not carry the same weight as a declaration made with calm assurance. The tone of your inner voice speaks louder than the words themselves. When you speak with unwavering certainty, even the unseen forces align themselves to fulfill your command. To develop such certainty, one must understand that their desire is not something they must earn. It is already part of their divine inheritance. Abundance does not need convincing, it needs permission. The universe does not operate by negotiation, it responds to conviction. When you say, "Money flows to me easily," and believe it with the full force of your being, every corner of creation begins to conspire in your favor. Doors open, paths clear, and channels reveal themselves. The word unwavering means you do not allow outside appearances to dictate your inner truth. Even if the bank account shows a number that does not reflect your desire, your certainty remains untouched. Appearances are temporary shadows. Truth is eternal. This kind of certainty is not arrogance but spiritual authority. It is the authority of one who knows their place in the divine order. It is the recognition that you are not separate from the flow of abundance but part of it, one with it. Your word is the key that unlocks the door to what is already yours. When you speak, do not plead, do not hope, declare, command, claim. Let your words carry the weight of unshakable belief. Just as the ocean does not doubt its waves, you do not doubt your power to receive. Just as the sun does not question whether it will rise, you do not question whether your good will come. It is already set in motion the moment your word is spoken with certainty. The mind will sometimes whisper doubt, for it has been trained by appearances and past experiences. But certainty is not the absence of doubt. It is the refusal to let doubt rule. It is the steady hand that keeps the ship moving through the storm. It is the voice that says, "I know," even when the senses try to say otherwise. When you speak your desire, feel the truth of it settle in your body like a warm flame. Let that flame burn brighter than the flicker of fear. Let it speak louder than the echo of limitation. In that moment, your word becomes a decree, and the unseen responds as though it has heard the command of a king. Certainty is felt as much as it is spoken. It is in the calmness of your breath, the steadiness of your posture, the quiet power behind your tone. It does not reach or grasp. It simply is. It stands in the present moment, unshaken, knowing the outcome is already complete. When you speak your desire from this place, you are not trying to make something happen. You are acknowledging that it is already done. You are aligning your inner state with the reality that already exists in the invisible realm. And when the inner and outer align, manifestation becomes inevitable. Your words create pathways through which energy flows. An uncertain word builds a crooked path. A certain word builds a straight road. When the road is straight, energy flows swiftly, and what you have declared reaches you without detour. This is why the practice of certainty is a discipline of the spirit. It requires training the tongue to speak only truth, training the mind to hold only the image of fulfillment, and training the heart to rest in trust. Each time you choose certainty over doubt, you strengthen the magnetic field around your desire, drawing it closer with irresistible force. The moment you speak your desire with unwavering certainty, you have already shifted timelines. The universe has received your word as law. It does not question. It does not hesitate. It moves according to the pattern you have impressed upon it. This is not a matter of chance, but of spiritual law. Just as gravity responds consistently, so too does the law of supply respond to the certainty of your word. To speak with unwavering certainty is to stand as a creator, not a beggar. It is to know that the unseen obeys your voice not because of force, but because of divine right. It is to stand in the authority of your being and let the universe echo your command. When you hold unwavering certainty, no external condition can shake it. Circumstances may appear otherwise, but they are simply catching up to your declaration. They are rearranging themselves, aligning, adjusting, preparing to reflect what you have already spoken. Time bends to certainty, not the other way around. Your declaration becomes the anchor that holds everything steady as the external shifts. And so you speak once, with power, with clarity, with the calm assurance of one who knows that their word is law. You do not chase after your desire. You stand, and it comes. You do not plead for it. You expect it. You do not wait in fear. You wait in knowing. Money flows through infinite channels, and this truth dissolves the idea that abundance must arrive in only one way. The universe is vast, intricate, and full of pathways unseen by the physical eye. To believe that money can come from only a single source is to place a wall where there should be an open gate. When you release that narrow belief, the flow of supply finds new and surprising ways to reach you. The divine current of provision is never blocked. It simply looks for the clearest path. When one channel appears closed, 1,000 more exist, waiting to open. Money is never lost. It only changes direction. And those who understand this truth walk with ease and quiet confidence, knowing they are never dependent on one stream alone. Every time you tie your expectation to a single person, job, business, or opportunity, you tighten the flow. You say, perhaps without realizing it, that abundance can only wear one face. But abundance has infinite faces. It wears the mask of chance encounters, unexpected gifts, long-forgotten refunds, inspired ideas, and doors you never even knew existed. To limit your belief is to limit the channels through which money can flow. To trust in infinite channels is to stand open to miracles. This openness is not passive. It is a powerful invitation. The moment you declare that money comes to you from expected and unexpected places, you set those unseen channels into motion. Money, like water, seeks the open vessel. If you place a cup beneath a stream, the water fills the cup. If you build a dam, the water flows around it, seeking another opening. When your mind is fixed only on one outcome, it becomes like that dam. But when you loosen your grip, allowing the flow to come from anywhere, you become like a wide riverbank, ready to receive the tide. This is why expectation must be coupled with surrender, not surrender in weakness, but in trust. You speak your desire with clarity, but you allow the universe to choose the path. It knows the fastest, clearest route, often bypassing the very place you are staring at so intently. The idea of infinite channels lifts you above fear. If one door closes, your mind does not spiral into panic, because you know countless other doors stand ready to open. This dissolves dependency, and dependency is one of the greatest blocks to abundance. When you believe that only one employer, one client, one opportunity can provide for you, you hand your power away. When you understand that supply flows through infinite channels, you reclaim that power. No single circumstance can hold your good hostage. No person or situation controls the river of wealth. The universe is the source. People and circumstances are merely vessels. Your belief in infinite channels also sharpens your awareness. You begin to notice what you once overlooked. A casual conversation becomes a doorway. A message you almost ignored contains an opportunity. A problem that once seemed like a dead end reveals a golden path. Infinite channels are always around you, but only the open mind can see them. Doubt narrows your vision, trust expands it. When you trust in infinite channels, you stop staring at the closed door and turn to see the open gate right beside it. Money is often waiting just beyond the veil of rigid expectation. This is why gratitude plays such a powerful role in attracting abundance. When you are grateful for the flow that already exists, You signal the universe that you are ready for more. Gratitude opens new channels because it removes the feeling of lack. Lack closes the heart. Gratitude opens it wide. In the open heart, money finds an easy way. The channels are not forced open, they are invited. Just as sunlight pours into a room when the curtains are drawn back, abundance rushes in when the mind stops clinging to narrow ideas. The infinite nature of supply means that opportunities can appear in ways that seem illogical to the rational mind. This is why it is important not to question how the flow will come. The how belongs to the universe. Your task is to hold the clear intention and remain receptive. A sudden inspiration to make a call, send a message, or take a small action can be the opening of one of those channels. It may not look grand or obvious, but the current of money often moves through simple, natural, everyday events. What seems ordinary to the eye may be extraordinary in spirit. Each channel is like a thread in a vast tapestry. You cannot see the entire design from where you stand, but the pattern is being woven with precision. A delayed payment may lead to a better opportunity. A closed path may push you toward something richer. When you trust the infinite, you no longer cling to the temporary. You let the flow rearrange itself without fear. Your calm expectation creates a magnetic field that draws in the right channels with perfect timing. Fear pushes the flow away. Trust pulls it in closer. Understanding infinite channels also frees you from attaching your worth to one source. If your income came from a single job and that job ended, you might once have felt lost. But with the awareness of infinite channels, you understand that the job was merely one vessel, not the source itself. The river still flows. The vessel may change shape, but the water never ceases. This shift in perception is a quiet kind of power. It removes panic, and in its place grows unshakable faith. That faith becomes a beacon, drawing new opportunities faster than before. The flow through infinite channels is often effortless once resistance is gone. Resistance can appear as worry, control, or disbelief. When you worry about how it will happen, you block the very path that is trying to open. When you try to control every detail, you create friction. But when you trust in the infinite, you let the current carry you. The flow becomes smooth, natural, and almost playful. Money can appear as if by magic, though it is not magic at all. It is the natural response of an open system to the abundance already in existence. Your words and thoughts act as instructions to this flow. When you say, "I receive money only from this source," the flow listens and limits itself accordingly. When you say, "I receive money through infinite channels, expected and unexpected," the flow stretches its arms wide and seeks every open path to reach you. The flow is obedient. It follows the shape of your belief. This is why expanding your belief expands your income. It is not about working harder, it is about opening wider. The moment your mind accepts infinite channels, your energy shifts, and so does your reality. It is not necessary to know where or how the money will come. That knowledge belongs to the larger intelligence that governs the flow. Your part is to remain certain that the channels exist and are active. Even now, as you breathe, they are moving. They are aligning people, places, and events in quiet, subtle ways that bring your good to you. The channels may appear suddenly, or they may build quietly beneath the surface like an underground river ready to emerge. Your trust is the invitation. Your certainty is the anchor. Your openness is the path. To live in this awareness is to walk through life with quiet power. It means you no longer look to one place with anxious eyes. You look in all directions with calm expectancy. You do not panic when a door closes because you know it is only one of many. You stop asking, "Where will it come from?" and instead declare, "It will come." The infinite channels are already in motion, weaving the invisible into the visible, turning potential into form. Your work is not to chase them down, but to stand ready, with your hands open and your heart wide, allowing them to do what they have always done. Flow activation activates swift manifestation, because it is the bridge between thought and reality. When expectation is set firmly, it signals to the unseen that the desired outcome is already certain. It is not a hope, not a wish, but a knowing. This knowing sends out a clear frequency that the universe recognizes and responds to without hesitation. Expectation is different from desire. Desire can exist with uncertainty, with longing and waiting, but expectation is the stillness that comes when the heart has already accepted that what is desired is on its way. It creates a magnetic pull, drawing events, people, and circumstances into alignment, as if invisible hands were arranging them with perfect timing. When expectation is pure, it has no tremor. It does not waver between belief and doubt. It stands like a bright flame that cannot be blown out. This is why expectation can create swift results, sometimes in ways that seem almost miraculous. The universe does not measure time the way the human mind does. It moves at the speed of alignment. The moment expectation is fixed, the delay begins to dissolve. The path clears because expectation does not leave room for hesitation. Doubt slows the flow like debris in a river, but expectation clears the current, allowing everything to rush forward freely. Expectation is the language of certainty, and certainty is what the universe obeys. When you expect something with your whole being, you are not waiting for it as a stranger waits at the door. You are welcoming it as a guest you know is already on the way. This changes your energy. You stop questioning when or how. You begin to act, speak, and think as if it is already yours. And because your energy has shifted, everything around you begins to shift with it. The outer world is only a mirror. When the inner state is expectation, the mirror reflects fulfillment. There is a quiet power in expectation that requires no force. You do not need to push the river when you expect it to flow. You simply stand on its bank, knowing the water is coming. This state of expectancy creates a subtle vibration, one that draws the very thing you are expecting. It is like tuning a musical instrument. When you strike the right note, other instruments around it begin to hum in harmony. When your energy hums with expectation, reality responds in kind. Opportunities emerge, doors open, the right people appear, and what was once invisible begins to take form. Many people confuse expectation with mere positive thinking, but expectation is deeper. It does not live on the surface of thought, but in the roots of belief. It is a state of being, not just a mental exercise. You can say 1,000 words of hope, but if your inner state does not truly expect the outcome, the words carry little weight. But one quiet, unwavering expectation, held in the heart, can move mountains of resistance. This is why manifestation often happens not when someone is trying the hardest, but when they finally rest in the certainty of receiving. Expectation creates an energetic pathway. It is as if you build a road with your belief, and the thing you desire travels that road directly to you. When there is no expectation, the road remains unbuilt. When expectation is strong, the road is smooth and clear, and manifestation can move swiftly. The universe does not need time, it needs clarity. An expectation is pure clarity in motion. The moment you stop questioning and start expecting, the manifestation begins to accelerate. Fear and doubt act like barriers across this pathway. They do not stop the flow completely, but they slow it down, sending the energy in circles. Expectation, on the other hand, is like lifting those barriers. It says to the universe, I am ready, I trust, I know it is done. And because the universe is always listening to the energy beneath the words, it responds to that trust. This is why expectation is such a powerful catalyst. It removes the friction between desire and fulfillment. You do not need to know how your expectation will be fulfilled. The how belongs to the infinite intelligence that moves behind the scenes. Your only task is to hold the expectation steady. If you plant a seed and constantly dig it up to check if it's growing, you disturb its growth. But if you plant the seed and trust that it is sprouting beneath the soil, it grows quickly and strongly. Expectation is the same. It is the quiet trust that the seed you have planted is already growing. It does not demand proof. It knows proof will come. When you expect something fully, your actions naturally align with that expectation. If you expect to receive, you prepare. You clear space, you speak with confidence. You move through your day with quiet assurance. This alignment between inner state and outer action accelerates manifestation even more. You are no longer sending mixed signals. Everything within you and around you points in one direction, and that clarity creates speed. Expectation is also powerful because it overrides appearances. The physical world often lags behind the unseen, like an echo following a sound. If you judge by appearances, you may falter, but expectation keeps you steady. Even when nothing seems to be happening, expectation knows it is happening beneath the surface. It does not let the outer world dictate the inner state. This is why those who expect with unshakable certainty often see results where others do not. They are not swayed by what their eyes show. They remain fixed on what their heart knows. Expectation does not require shouting, striving, or begging. It is calm, grounded, and sure. It is like the sky before sunrise, knowing the light is coming. This quiet confidence carries a frequency that reality cannot ignore. Every moment spent in expectation is a moment of building momentum. The energy gathers strength, and when the timing aligns, it appears suddenly, though it has been forming all along. Doubt can coexist with desire, but it cannot coexist with true expectation. This is why expectation must be cultivated. It grows stronger when you choose it over fear again and again. Each time you expect despite appearances, you anchor the energy more deeply. Each time you choose certainty over doubt, the current grows faster. And the more you practice this state of expectancy, the more natural it becomes, until expectation itself is your resting place. Expectation is not about control. It is not about forcing reality into shape. It is about aligning with what is already yours in the unseen. It is about claiming the outcome before it has taken physical form. It is about knowing that the moment you expected it, it began its journey toward you. The universe does not delay out of resistance, it only waits for your signal to be clear. Expectation is that clear signal, the lighthouse guiding the ship of your desire straight to your shore. When expectation is unwavering, everything bends to meet it. Time shortens, coincidences multiply, and paths align in ways the rational mind could not have planned. What once seemed distant begins to feel close, and then suddenly it is here. This is not a miracle in the sense of breaking laws. It is the natural response to an energy that leaves no space for doubt. The moment expectation takes root deeply enough, manifestation is no longer a question of if, but simply a matter of when, and that when is often much sooner than the mind believes. Resistance is only an illusion, a shadow cast by the mind that believes in limitation. It has no substance of its own. It appears real only when attention is given to it, just as a shadow looks solid when stared at, but disappears when you turn toward the light. Resistance arises from doubt, fear, and the belief that what is desired is far away or difficult to attain. But the truth beneath the illusion is that abundance flows freely and constantly. The universe does not struggle to deliver what has already been spoken into existence. It moves smoothly, effortlessly, like a river following its course. What people call resistance is simply the fog of conflicting beliefs, a mirage that has no true power, except what is lent to it through focus. The nature of resistance is slippery, shifting shapes to match whatever fear it feeds on. Sometimes it appears as delay, sometimes as confusion, sometimes as a lack of opportunity, but these appearances are not barriers, they are reflections of inner hesitation. The moment one withdraws belief from resistance, it crumbles like mist in the morning sun. The flow of abundance is never truly blocked. It is only temporarily hidden behind a veil of false perception. This is why when a person stops wrestling with their own fear, everything they desired begins to move toward them with astonishing speed. The current was always there. They had simply been standing in their own way. Resistance thrives on attention. The more one stares at the closed door, the more solid it seems. But when the gaze turns away, when the mind stops narrating stories of lack and delay, the door ceases to matter, and often another door, already open, comes into view. The power lies not in trying to fight the resistance, but in seeing through it. You do not battle a shadow. You turn on the light. The light, in this case, is awareness, faith, and the quiet certainty that the flow is real and already moving. The moment you stop granting resistance the weight of truth, it fades, because it cannot stand in the presence of conviction. Many believe they must work harder to break through resistance, pushing, struggling, forcing outcomes. But struggle feeds the very illusion they want to dissolve. It adds weight to something that was weightless to begin with. The river does not need to be pushed to flow. It flows by its nature. The universe does not need to be convinced to provide. It provides by its nature. The only task is to step out of the way, to stop clutching at the illusion. When the mind relaxes its grip, the flow returns as if it had never left, because it never truly had. Resistance often disguises itself as logic. It says, "This will take time," or "This is not realistic," or "Things like this don't happen so easily." But these statements are not laws. They are habits of thought, echoes of old conditioning. They are like dust on a mirror, obscuring the reflection of abundance but never destroying it. When you wipe away those old beliefs, even gently, the reflection appears in its full brightness. The truth has always been there. The illusion never had real power. This is why sudden shifts can happen the moment someone stops believing in their obstacles. The illusion collapses instantly because it was never solid in the first place. Resistance also feeds on the idea of control. The more one tries to manage every detail of how things should happen, the more tangled the flow becomes. Control is the soil where resistance grows, but trust is the wind that clears it away. When you trust the unseen to do its work, the need to hold on tightly dissolves. In that loosening, resistance loses its grip, because it cannot exist in a mind at ease. Ease is the natural state of abundance. Tension is the mask of fear. When ease returns, so does the effortless movement of good toward you. The illusion of resistance often builds itself around time. The mind says, "It's taking too long," and that thought creates a sensation of delay. But the flow is not governed by the mind's calendar. It moves according to alignment, not time. The moment alignment is clear, time bends, paths clear, and events unfold quickly. This is why resistance can appear heavy for weeks or months and then vanish in an instant. The illusion was never about actual obstacles. It was about the story told around them. Change the story and the resistance melts like snow in the sun. There is also a subtle seduction in resistance. It gives the mind something to fight, something to fix, something to control. It creates the illusion of being busy, of striving for change. But this busyness often only circles the same point, like a wheel spinning in mud. True movement begins not when the fight intensifies, but when it stops altogether. The moment the illusion is seen for what it is, just thought, just belief, just air, the wheel catches traction, and forward movement becomes effortless. Resistance is never conquered through more resistance. It is dissolved through clarity. It is important to recognize how the body reacts to resistance, because resistance lives not only in thought but in feeling. It shows itself as tension, heaviness, tightness, restlessness. These sensations are signals, not barriers. They are the body's way of revealing that the mind is holding on too tightly. When you soften into those sensations instead of fighting them, the grip loosens. Breathing, stillness, and quiet awareness are often enough to pierce the illusion. The flow of abundance is always just beyond that thin wall of tension, waiting patiently. Resistance has no true root in reality because reality is abundant by design. Scarcity, delay, difficulty, all these are constructs built from fear. They have no foundation except belief. When belief shifts, they vanish. This is why some can receive with ease what others struggle to achieve through endless effort. It is not that the flow favors one person over another. It is that one person sees through the illusion while the other fights with it. The flow is neutral, constant, impartial. It answers clarity, not struggle. The most powerful shift happens when you begin to treat resistance not as an enemy, but as a mirage. You do not argue with a mirage. You do not beg it to disappear. You simply walk through it, and it vanishes because it was never real. Each time you walk through it, your trust grows stronger, and the illusion grows weaker. Eventually, what once felt like a wall becomes transparent, like mist that can no longer hold its shape. This is the quiet power of knowing that resistance is only illusion. It is not something to fear, not something to fix, not something to overcome. It is something to see through, something to stop feeding with thought and emotion. When you stop resisting resistance, it loses its last hiding place. The act of fighting it gives it form. The act of ignoring it makes it invisible. Abundance has always been flowing, and the illusion cannot change that. What it can do is distract, delay, and distort, but only to the extent you let it. Once the spell is broken, the current rushes forward as though it had been waiting for you to remember what was always true. The wall was never real, the flow was never gone. The illusion only lived in the mind's shadow, and shadows disappear the moment the light returns. Abundance answers a clear inner word because the universe is responsive, not resistant. It listens not to scattered wishes but to the steady tone of certainty. A clear inner word is a declaration without tremor, a frequency that cuts through noise, confusion, and contradiction. When you speak within yourself with clarity, you issue a command that reverberates through the invisible structure of reality. The energy around you organizes itself according to the clarity you hold inside. What is blurred within remains blurred without. What is focused within becomes tangible in the world around you. Abundance flows where the signal is strong, not where it flickers. The inner word is more than thought. It is not a passing idea or a hopeful whisper. It is the soundless voice of your being when it knows what it wants and refuses to waver. This inner word does not need to be shouted or repeated endlessly. Its strength lies in its purity. Just as a single clear note can fill a room more powerfully than a chorus of uncertain sounds, one unwavering declaration within can draw abundance faster than countless scattered affirmations. It is the difference between calling and mumbling. The universe responds to the call. When the inner word is confused, tangled with doubt and fear, the response from the outer world mirrors that confusion. Opportunities appear and disappear. Momentum starts and stalls. The energy cannot find a clear direction to follow. But when the inner word is sharp like a line drawn through still water, the outer world reflects it without delay. Clarity creates speed, it creates alignment. It removes the friction that mixed signals create. The universe is not punishing when it delays. It is only waiting for a clear instruction to follow. The clarity of the inner word comes from trust. Trust strips away all the noise, leaving only the core declaration. Trust says, "This is mine," and the word rings clean and strong. Doubt tries to add layers, to question, to complicate. But the pure inner word does not need explanations. It does not need backup plans. It simply exists as truth, spoken from within. The moment this word settles into the core of your being, everything outside begins to move around it, as if reality itself is listening and responding to its direction. Your inner word is like a tuning fork. When struck with certainty, it vibrates through the unseen and causes matching vibrations to appear in the physical. Events, people, opportunities, and resources align with that frequency. It is not necessary to chase them, they are drawn to the vibration. If the word is weak or filled with hesitation, the vibration falters and the response becomes scattered. But a clear, unwavering word acts like a beacon. Abundance cannot ignore it because it is woven into the same fabric of existence. It is a law, not a favor. This is why alignment matters more than effort. You can work tirelessly while your inner word remains uncertain, and the results will reflect that uncertainty. You can also speak once with perfect clarity, and the universe begins to shift. It is not the volume of your voice but the precision of your inner tone that calls abundance forth. The inner word is not about convincing anyone, not even yourself. It is about knowing. When you know, you do not need to repeat. The knowing speaks once and leaves the echo to do the work. A clear inner word is born when the mind stops fighting itself. It is formed in stillness, when the noise of doubt fades and only the simple, quiet truth remains. This is why silence is often more powerful than endless effort. In silence, the inner word sharpens. It becomes simple, direct, undeniable. It ceases to plead and begins to declare. It is in this state that abundance responds swiftly. The moment the word is clear, the flow is set in motion, and nothing external can resist it. The outer world is only a reflection. It does not initiate, it mirrors. If the reflection looks blurred, the mirror is not at fault. It is the image within that must be focused. When you align your inner word with the outcome you desire, the mirror has no choice but to reflect it. This is not a matter of force but of natural law. Just as water reflects the sky without effort, the world reflects your inner state without resistance. Your role is to create clarity within. The reflection follows on its own. Every thought you hold carries a tone, but not every tone is clear. Many people send out mixed messages, wanting and fearing, believing and doubting, reaching and retreating. This confusion creates delay, not because the universe withholds, but because it does not receive a single instruction. A scattered inner word builds a crooked path. A clear inner word builds a straight road. When the road is straight, the abundance that is already moving toward you arrives faster, without detour. Clarity does not mean shouting louder. It means stripping away what is unnecessary. It means deciding once and standing by that decision inwardly. It means no longer negotiating with fear, no longer rehearsing old doubts, no longer giving energy to uncertainty. The pure inner word stands alone, like a single flame in the dark, and everything that resonates with it moves closer. The flame does not chase, it draws. To speak the inner word clearly, the heart and mind must agree. If the mind speaks one thing but the heart whispers another, the signal becomes fractured. But when both move in harmony, the vibration is strong and undeniable. This harmony is not forced, it is allowed. It comes when you trust your desire as already valid, already real, already answered. When the heart trusts and the mind stops arguing, the inner word emerges effortlessly. The clear inner word has no attachment to how or when. It speaks once and lets the flow do its work. It does not tug at the seed it has planted. It does not stand in the field digging up the ground to check. It knows the seed is alive, and so it lets it grow. The moment doubt tries to creep in, the inner word remains steady. It does not bend to passing thoughts or outside appearances. It holds its form like a bell that keeps ringing long after it's struck. This is why some see swift manifestations while others wait for years. The difference is not in worth or luck, but in clarity. One speaks with a steady inner voice. The other whispers through layers of uncertainty. The universe does not pick favorites, it follows frequency. When the frequency is clean, the response is quick. When it is cluttered, the response is tangled. Clearing the inner word is clearing the path itself. Even when nothing seems to be happening, the clear inner word is at work. Its vibration moves through spaces unseen, weaving circumstances together in quiet ways. You may not witness the movement at first, but it is moving. This is why faith and clarity walk together. The clear inner word does not need constant reassurance. It trusts that the signal has been sent and the response is on its way. It does not waver each time the outer world takes a breath. When you hold a clear inner word, you become like a still center around which everything moves. The noise of the world loses its grip. The tides of doubt crash and fall away, unable to shake the certainty within. In this stillness, the flow of abundance becomes steady, direct, and swift. You no longer reach for it frantically, it comes to you, because it has heard you clearly. The call was made once, and the answer follows. The power was never in the outer noise, but in the quiet certainty of your inner voice.